It was a warm summer evening on August 13, 2011, just 2 days before her 22nd birthday, when Caitlyn Markham vanished without a trace. A young woman with a brilliant future ahead, she was preparing to graduate and start a new chapter of her life in Colorado, with her fiancé, John Carter, by her side. Caitlyn had always been the kind of person who radiated possibility, like someone who was meant to shine brightly in the world. But in one sudden, shocking moment, that future evaporated into thin air, leaving only confusion and heartbreak in its wake. The world she was about to step into, full of opportunity, dreams, and plans, disappeared along with her. Caitlyn's life was full of promise. She had recently wrapped up her studies at the Art Institute of Ohio, Cincinnati, and a degree in graphic design was only the beginning. Her dreams were already taking shape: a new city, a new home, a fresh start. She had so much to look forward to, so much she had yet to experience, but all of it gone. Just hours before her life was about to take a new direction, everything vanished. Night, Caitlyn spent time with her fiancé, John Carter, talking about the move to Colorado. They were supposed to leave in a few weeks. She was going to start fresh. But that was the last time anyone would hear from her. When Caitlyn's father called her phone the next day, there was no answer, no texts, no calls. It was as if she had just disappeared from the world. With every passing hour, the panic grew. What happened to Caitlyn? Where was she? And why did no one see anything? Friends, family, and neighbors began searching, but no trace was found. Her disappearance seemed impossible. How could someone vanish in the middle of the night, right from their own home? How does a young woman on the brink of starting her life disappear without a single trace? Was she taken? Did she leave voluntarily? Or was something far darker at play? The search for Caitlyn Markham began almost immediately. As the clock ticked, every moment without her felt heavier. The streets of Fairfield, once bustling with the sound of life, became a place of anxiety and fear as law enforcement combed the area for any trace of the young woman. Police knocked on doors, canvassed neighborhoods, and scoured nearby woods and fields, but despite their relentless efforts, no one seemed to have seen or heard anything unusual. The town was quiet. Too quiet. And then they found the first sign of something truly wrong: Caitlyn's front door, left wide open. The windows shattered. There were no signs of a struggle inside the home, but the silence was deafening. It was as if Caitlyn had simply vanished into thin air, leaving only a lingering chill behind her. But this wasn't just any missing persons case. Something didn't add up. Something didn't feel right. The evidence was sparse, but chilling. Police could only speculate. Was it a crime of passion? A spontaneous act of violence fueled by anger or jealousy? Or was there something darker at play? Was someone close to Caitlyn hiding a truth too terrible to be exposed? What was the secret Caitlyn was hiding, and why did the clues she left behind only raise more questions? As the days turned into weeks, the pain for Caitlyn's family deepened, each passing hour a crushing weight they could barely bear. Her parents, Dave and Cheryl Markham, struggled to comprehend the nightmare that had consumed their lives. But it was Dave who wore the visible scars of their suffering. His face, once filled with pride and love, now bore the marks of worry and devastation. He stood before the cameras at a press conference, fighting to keep his composure, his voice breaking with emotion. "My daughter is missing," Dave Markham said, the words barely escaping his lips before breaking into a sob. "I don't know where she is. I don't know why this is happening." His voice cracked under the strain of a father's worst nightmare, one he couldn't wake up from. It was as though, in that moment, the weight of every unanswered question crushed him further. How could something like this happen to his little girl? Where could she be? What had happened to Caitlyn? For parents, there is no greater agony than not knowing where their child is. Dave Markham's heartbreak wasn't just from the loss of his daughter. It was from the gnawing uncertainty. Each day, the hope that Caitlyn would come home seemed to fade just a little bit more. But even in the darkest moments, he never gave up. He couldn't. How long can a father keep hoping when every lead seems to fade into nothingness, when every search yields more questions than answers? For Dave Markham, hope was all he had left, but with each passing day, even that felt harder to hold on to. Could the truth be far darker than anyone imagined? Was Caitlyn's disappearance just the beginning of a much more twisted story? And how far would a father go to uncover the truth, even if it shattered everything he believed? In 2013, 2 long years after Caitlyn Markham vanished, a breakthrough came, a discovery that would both horrify and send shockwaves through the tight-knit community of Fairfield. In the dense, quiet woods of Cedar Grove, Indiana, nearly 20 miles from Caitlyn's home, a team of investigators stumbled upon skeletal remains. The sense of relief that the case might finally have an answer quickly turned into dread when forensic experts confirmed that the remains were, in fact, Caitlyn's. Caitlyn had been found, but what they discovered left more questions than answers. The remains were skeletal. Her body had been hidden, left to decay in the wilderness. There were no signs of struggle at the scene, no immediate clues to suggest what had caused her death. It was clear, however, that Caitlyn's fate had been sealed long before she was found. Caitlyn's remains were transported back to the lab where forensic experts worked tirelessly to uncover the truth. But as the pieces of the puzzle came together, the questions only grew. How had she ended up here, in a place so far from home? Why was she hidden away in the woods, left to decay for years before anyone found her? The forensic report confirmed it. Caitlyn's death was ruled a homicide, but the path to her killer was still shrouded in mystery. No one knew how she had died, or who had been responsible. Her body had been left in the woods, far from the place she had called home, in an area where no one could hear her cries for help. After 2 years, why was Caitlyn's body found so far from home? What could have happened in the time that passed, and who was responsible for this unspeakable act? In 2023, after more than a decade of painstaking investigation, the unthinkable happened. John Carter, Caitlyn's fiancé, was arrested. It was a twist that no one saw coming. The man who had once been the center of Caitlyn's world, the person she had planned to spend the rest of her life with, was now the prime suspect in her brutal murder. A violent end to a love story that had once seemed so full of promise. But the question everyone now asked: what drove John Carter to allegedly murder the woman he once promised to love forever? Was it the unraveling of a relationship, a crime born from jealousy or rage? Or was there something far darker, something lurking beneath the surface that only Carter truly knew? His silence in the face of his arrest only added to the mystery. The courtroom would soon reveal that Carter had been the last person to see Caitlyn alive. But even as the evidence mounted against him, there were still so many unanswered questions. Why had he not come forward sooner? Why the silence in the face of mounting suspicion? What was the secret he kept hidden from everyone? Caitlyn's family, the police, even those closest to him? John Carter's silence left many questions unanswered. The police had uncovered more and more damning evidence. His fingerprints at the crime scene, his cryptic and inconsistent statements in the aftermath. But still, he remained tight-lipped. What had truly happened in those final hours? Why didn't he come forward? Was he afraid? Or was there something even darker at play? Despite the mounting evidence, Carter's defense team insisted on his innocence. They argued that the investigation was flawed, that there were still too many gaps in the case. But as more details about the couple's turbulent past came to light, it became evident that their relationship had been far from perfect. Had the love between John and Caitlyn been real, or was it just an illusion? Despite the overwhelming charges against him, John Carter never fully explained what happened the night Caitlyn died. The courtroom was tense, the air thick with unanswered questions. As the trial progressed, it became painfully clear that Carter would not be offering any revelations that could finally provide closure. In 2023, he pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter as part of a plea deal, essentially avoiding a lengthy trial and any further probing into the truth. But the question lingered, sharp and unyielding. Why would he plead guilty without ever offering a single explanation for his actions? What did Carter choose to stay silent? Why plead guilty without revealing the truth? His reasons remained hidden behind a wall of silence, as if his words could not and would not explain the unspeakable. The questions that remained unanswered would forever haunt those who had once trusted him. Was it guilt that drove him to silence? Or did he have something far darker to hide? In the end, the most painful question still lingered. What really happened the night Caitlyn Markham disappeared? As the plea deal is accepted, the truth remains elusive. Carter's silence is his final act, an act that leaves Caitlyn's family with nothing but the weight of their grief and the unanswered questions they will carry for the rest of their lives. Was it an accident? Was it something far worse? The world may never know. What is John Carter hiding? What really happened the night Caitlyn disappeared? Could it be that the full truth will never come to light? Or is there someone somewhere still carrying the weight of a secret too dark to confess? In the years since Caitlyn's tragic death, her family has been left to pick up the pieces of a life shattered by unanswered questions and lingering grief. Her father, Dave Markham, continues to honor his daughter's memory in quiet, private ways. Every year, he visits her grave, always placing fresh flowers, a ritual that has become both a comfort and a reminder of the daughter he lost too soon. But despite the passage of time, Dave's heart remains heavy with an unshakable sorrow. He still grapples with the unspeakable pain of losing his daughter, a vibrant young woman full of potential, ripped away in the most violent way imaginable. What does closure really mean when the answers are never fully revealed? Can you ever truly let go of someone you loved so much, when the full truth remains buried in silence? For Dave Markham, closure is a distant dream, a hope that perhaps one day the silence will break and the truth will come to light. But for now, he remains trapped in a world of questions that will never be answered. He has tried to move forward, to find meaning in the life he still has, but every year as the anniversary of Caitlyn's death approaches, he is reminded of the painful reality that some things can never be undone. Some losses are too great and the wounds are too deep to ever fully heal. In a stunning turn of events, on July 18, 2024, John Carter was sentenced to the maximum prison term allowed under Ohio law, 3 years. The judge's decision left many stunned, as the punishment seemed light given the gravity of his actions. A mere 3 years for a crime that stole a life, that shattered a family. But the reality of the legal system often doesn't match the emotional weight of the tragedy. Now, with only 3 years behind bars, the question remains, is this justice? What would it take for Caitlyn's family to find peace, if peace is even possible at all? Perhaps the answers lie in the future, where new evidence, new witnesses, or new revelations could bring clarity to the questions that still haunt them. But for now, peace seems like a distant dream, an illusion that can never quite be reached. As long as the truth remains locked away in silence, the Markham family will continue to carry the heavy burden of loss, unable to move forward completely, but never able to forget. This story is far from over, and there are still so many unanswered questions. What do you think? Will Caitlyn's family ever find closure? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth investigations into real-life mysteries. We'll keep searching for the answers.